Welcome to How Can I Keep From Singing, a podcast where we explore the power of singing together. My name is Stuart Stotts, coming to you from rural Wisconsin, and my guest today is Heidi Wilson.
Oh, smallest crystals glinting in the sun. If ever I've questioned magic, my doubt has come undone. Oh, smallest crystals glinting in the sun. If ever I've questioned magic, my doubt has come undone. How you wink and
Heidi Wilson's passion is to share songs in service to community and the wild world. Songs that celebrate the seasons, bring groups together, offer thanks, muster courage, and make room for deep connection. Heidi has been leading community singing groups in central Vermont and beyond for the last 19 years and is touring The Well Tree, an original storytelling musical with her trio, Heartwood. Heidi, welcome to How Can I Keep From Singing?
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
I just found out that you have a foundation in Wisconsin. Could you talk a little bit about your own early experience with singing that might have led you to this place where you are now?
Ooh, yeah. So I grew up in Madison on the west side. I grew up in kind of a folky family. My dad plays banjo, my mom plays the flute and the auto harp, and my sisters and I play all kinds of things. We grew up singing at church and at home, and, like the meal blessings around the table were always in harmony. And if my older sister didn't sing the melody, we were in trouble because the whole thing would just blossom apart.
So you grew up in Madison, and at what point did your own music begin to kick in?
Songs started coming through when I was really little, when I was like 5 or 6 or 7 or something like this. They were always coming through, and then when I was a teenager, I started to do more singer-songwriter, play at the coffee shops, open mics, kind of. But I never really studied formally. It was just there. It was just a through line. And then when I moved to Vermont, I found out about this organization called Village Harmony. They host camps and workshops that are bringing together different teaching masters from around the world, teaching different traditional harmony styles. So I had the chance to sing with someone from Bulgaria and South Africa and Caucasus, Georgia, and that really blew my mind. I was like, oh, whoa, these are powerful harmony traditions where people are singing together. And what I loved was that a lot of those songs had cultural work to do. They had community significance. And I was like, oh, I want to sing in groups with people with songs that are doing their jobs. And so I just sort of slowly weaseled my way into being an apprentice and then eventually a teacher at Village Harmony. Have just been figuring out how to lead singing in community for a long time.
Is Village Harmony still around?
Yeah, Village Harmony is still happening.
And does that happen nationally? Is that sort of located in Vermont, or what's the just structure of it?
There's camps that happen residentially, like in New England for teens and also for adults. And then there's one residential camp in the Northwest I'll be teaching at this summer. But then there's also touring groups, like teens will practice for a week and then they'll travel around for a week or two performing in churches and being hosted by community members. It's this really amazing model. And then there's also international camps that happen in the Balkans and in Georgia and in Italy and South Africa. Yeah.
You've used the word harmony several times already. I'm guessing that that's a pretty important word to you. Sometimes when we think about group singing, we're just thinking about singing in unison and not really worrying about harmonic notes. And I'm wondering where that sits for you.
Ooh. I feel like there's power in unison and there is magic in harmony. Like, I feel like it holds an embodied experience of the importance of autonomy and holding your part, but also relationship with the other notes and the other people that are happening, and what can happen when your voice is its own thing, but it's part of something bigger.
You mentioned singing harmony around the table in your
Mm.
family. Can you think of another time, maybe a little bit older, when you just felt immersed or got this sense of the magic of harmony?
When I was in college, I was like, I need to be in a choir. But I went to this small environmental school with no choir. So I just said, hey, friends, let's start a choir. And so we did. And we would go into the chapel, just teach each other simple songs and just live within that harmony. And I feel like it helped us remember that we're part of something bigger. Yeah.
You're a songwriter as well. And how does that balance work for you in your vocation, should we say, between performing perhaps sometimes and song leading? What does your life look like that way?
I've been like listening for and hearing songs, like I was saying, since forever in my life, but maybe 15 years ago, no, yeah, and then maybe 12 years ago, I was like, okay, this is it. I can't do anything else. I got to really be focusing on music now. Um, and so I was leading singing groups, like all ages singing groups. The Shire Choir is what we call it here. Then the pandemic hit, and we couldn't sing in that group. But I had been sharing songs with community always. But then when we couldn't sing in community together live anymore, my friend was like, you have to start doing Patreon, which is like this online artist support platform. And I was like, no way, that's dumb. And they were like, yes, you have to. And I said, fine, okay, this is a way I can share these songs. Since then, I saw there's an expectation for myself that I'm going to share about 2 songs every month. And now I have hundreds of people who are supporting me and sort of expecting that. And, some people really expect it and some people just want to support me. But it's this amazing opportunity for me I have to go outside and put up the antenna. I have to poke around and listen for what's coming through. So my life is just a real mix. It's hard to quantify how much of song making I'm doing versus song leading versus performing, because it's all wrapped together. But it feels like because the songs that are coming through, it's all looped in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a whole mix. In your repertoire, singing with people, I'm guessing you draw from a lot of different sources. You've talked about folk sources, international sorts of sources. How do you find if you're coming to a group to sing, what does that mix look like?
It's interesting. I used to draw a lot more from different sources, and over the years, I started to feel like the songs that I could lead with the most integrity were the ones that were coming either through me directly or through like my friends and songwriting colleagues, basically. So once in a while, I'll share some songs, and I from somewhere else that I've learned through friends of friends or through research. And then I also love to look into my own Swedish history and be like, okay, what are the old folk songs? What are the old songs from the forests and the fields and the spring celebrations from Sweden? So I've had a chance to work with some different Swedish singing teachers. So that's sort of one track, and otherwise it's mostly like directly listening and sharing the ones that I feel like are coming through me for this time, and then my buddies who are doing the same practice for right now.
That's a very intimate way of looking at group singing, as opposed to we're going to sing Take Me Home Country Roads or You Are My Sunshine, which is
Yeah.
a different approach. Well, let's find the songs that people have in common. You're bringing songs that have something of you in them and saying, let's sing these together, whether it's your song or someone that you know.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, is this just weirdly selfish? And then and other times I'm like, well, sing what you know. Like share what you can share, like with integrity and with truth, and so that's what my particular path is.
Well, the question is, does it work? If you're in there singing your songs and people are just listening, then those aren't the right songs to be doing. But if they're singing along with you, then I think you've accomplished what you set out to do.
Yeah, seems like it's working.
You're listening to How Can I Keep From Singing? My name is Stuart Stotts, and my guest today is Heidi Wilson. So Heidi, where do you lead songs? Do you have a regular series places? Do you make a circuit? Is it just where you're asked to go? How does that work for you?
I lead a community choir for all ages called the Shire Choir right here in Plainfield where I live, and then another section of it just north of me in the Northeast Kingdom in Greensboro. And I do like a little series each season of that. That's like the place where we build our practice singing together and where we build some repertoire and we remember what it feels like to be part of that old skill and technology of community singing. And then from that, different things have grown. There's been like a kindred voice, sort of a threshold choir that was sort of born out of that, where we were singing for people who are getting close to the end of life or other big transitions in life. And then I also lead a lot of seasonal celebrations. So we mark the solstices and the equinoxes singing together. Here in Plainfield, I love to keep that one rooted in the actuality of our turning seasons right here. And then with this trio, Heartwood, we're traveling around a bunch. We love to share songs that came through us in wild places. And we came together first as a trio in Lake Superior on this small remote island off the UP. And had a chance to spend a couple weeks just being with the rocks and the wind and listening for songs. And while we were there, I got this inspiration for this musical, The Well Tree. Well, it wasn't called The Well Tree then, but anyway, I was like, how do we share these songs that feel like such gifts in a way that's not just a performance or a workshop? And this voice was like, it's time for the musical. And I was like, I don't know how to make a musical? Are you serious? And since many of the songs had come through Willie and Serena, the other bandmates, I was like, hey, what do you all think? Are you up for this? And they were like, okay, yeah. And so we spent a couple years crafting a story that tied these songs together. And then the story changed what songs were needed, and we had to listen for new songs. And then we roped in a friend as a visual collaborator who made beautiful paper cuts for this cranky, this scrolling illustration that goes with it. And so we've been touring that show around for like a year and a half here in the States and then in the UK and in Canada. And it's a performance, but it's also very participatory. So that to me is the dream, to like share a story that brings the audience along on a journey and opens our hearts, but also like welcomes people in to help bring the story to life together and be part of co-creating it. So that's been a wild journey that's taken us all over the place.
What are some things you've learned about having a successful group singing experience? One thing I heard you say was just that the songs have to have a deep connection to you for them to be real for the audience. Other things you might have learned through leading group singing?
Let's see. Well, so last night I was leading the Shire Choir and I was like, what songs should we sing? And like they have to be, for me, I'm always trying to pick the songs that are resonant for this moment. So we were singing a lot of songs that were being sung right now by folks with singing resistance in Minneapolis and around the world. Like, what are the songs that are part of the bigger waves that are happening right now? So we were singing those. And then I'm also always gauging, okay, of the songs that feel right for this moment, what are the ones that this particular group can bring to life in a satisfying way? So pretty much everything that I'm sharing is without sheet music, without lyrics. It has to be simple enough that we can just learn it by ear. I do some lyric sheets for some people for accessibility, but mostly my hope is that we can do it all just by ear. And then I'm basically trying to figure out what is the most harmonically exciting and satisfying song that we can do, but that's simple enough that we won't hurt. But that's not so simple that it's boring. So it's like, I'm like, and I follow that by sharing one part, and then I'm like, okay, we're doing good, we're gonna add another part. That fell apart, we didn't get that. Let's back that off. We'll slow this down. We'll teach that. Okay, now we put them back together. So it's kind of just like building this song sculpture based on what I'm hearing. What can we actually do?
It sounds very intuitive.
Yeah, I often feel like sort of a grounded but slightly crazed Muppet.
So Heidi, you wrote a song that in the numerous videos that have come through from the work in Minneapolis resistance over the last couple months or so, this song, Hold On. I've heard this song now in many, many versions of people singing in churches and on the streets and so on. Could you talk a little bit about that particular song?
Yeah, thanks for asking. That song first came through like 6 years ago when there was a friend in a nearby town, a teen, Finn Rooney, killed himself. And he was like a beloved and magical guy. And it was really a surprise. And it really like rocked the community. And a friend of mine who was a parent at the high school where Finn went said, can we have a gathering before these teens have to go back into that high school? Can we make a circle and have a fire and just circle up together and be there to hold the community and hold Finn's family? And he said, Heidi, would you bring a song? And I said, sure. I was like, what's it going to be? This song has a big job. So I, put up the antenna and listened hard. And this is, Hold On is the song that came through. And we sang it on that cold, windy day around a fire. And it wasn't like a big performance song with a bunch of instruments. It was a we got to make this together song that I asked people, can you stand a little bit closer? And they shuffled in, and I was like, how about even a little bit closer? Until we were like close enough that we could be shoulder to shoulder and sing that song into being.
The song is simple. 4 lines, unless there's some part that people aren't singing.
That's it.
That's it.
the
And
one.
it's a beautiful, beautiful song. Clearly means a tremendous amount to many people. And given its genesis, I can see why those roots would creep up into people's souls. When you're writing songs that are for group singing, are they usually that kind of short, small song? When I was talking with people in Minneapolis, one of the interesting things was that there are many songs that are small songs that people are singing like that. Very different than we're going to sing If I Had a Hammer or Blowing in the Wind or Down by the Riverside, songs that traditionally associated maybe with political movements. These are songs meant to be repeated and almost have a chant quality to them. How does that reflect on your experience with singing both Hold On, but also other songs as part of this resistance movement network in a public kind of way?
There's a lot of strategy in a song that's simple enough to welcome people in and simple enough for people to feel like they belong in the singing of it. And also where everybody is holding that song together. You don't have to have a leader who's going to tell you or lead you into every verse and every chorus. So it's like the simplicity of the song has a really important job of welcoming people and helping them feel like they're a part of it. For me, I feel like the songs are like spells. And if it's simple enough, it can do its job really easily. And if it's got good vowels to sing, it does its job really well. And so I think singing has been sort of commodified in so many ways, and people feel estranged from the ability to sing or like they shouldn't take up space singing or their voice isn't good enough. But if the song is really simple, it can kind of like undo that. It's like the song has 4 lines. You're supposed to sing it. You're supposed to sing it 100 times. We're all supposed to sing it together. And I feel like it taps into something old that gets us out of our brains and into our bodies. Like we don't have to think about the song. We just get to sing it with our bodies. And then it gets to do the work of like helping us move through some stuck feelings, helping us feel part of something bigger than ourselves, helping us be a part of something that's actually useful. And I think the simple songs do that by bypassing all of our thinky.
Are a lot of the songs that you create in that same sort of vein?
Yeah, a lot of them are simple. A lot of them are not quite that short, but but the vast majority of my songs don't have like multiple verses. They might have like a A part and a B part to add a little pizzazz, but they're mostly things that a group could pick up pretty darn quickly. And then if we wanted to layer harmonies, we could. But it's kind of like meant to be held by the whole, not by a performer.
My sense, Heidi, is that there's kind of a network of folks, not unlike yourself, who are out leading group singing in all kinds of ways, sometimes through organizations. You mentioned Village Harmony. Here in Wisconsin, we have Wisconsin Sing, offering all
Yeah,
kinds
Liz
of
Rock.
all kinds of options for people to get together and sing. Do you see a direction or pattern or rationale for why this seems to be happening so much? Maybe it was always happening and I'm just becoming more aware of it. But there is certainly a hunger among people to sing together. What do you notice about this trend, if we want to call it that?
I feel like it's old people singing together. And I feel like coming out of COVID separation shutdown time, the like desire to remember that we're part of something bigger is even stronger than before. Like that incredible isolation and that like burden and weight of individualism and people like thinking about their unique needs and unique like consumer preferences and all that is that's like a burden, and to remember ourselves as part of something bigger is like it's like waking up. It's like shedding that burden of isolation and like reaching out for one another in all the ways that we can. And I feel like singing, simple community singing is part of that, and is like a really real and embodied, and it's a way that feels good. And also like right now in the face of rising authoritarianism, it feels like this is a way to feel our collective power and feel our collective love. And so I feel like the singing resistance webs that are all over the world right now and all over this country are a response to that desire to feel our connection and to know that we're stronger and we're more alive when we're together. And that the powers that be that are trying to make us afraid and keep us separate, it won't work. Especially if we're singing, and especially if we're like singing together.
There's a shedding of the burden, but also a sharing of the burden, I think, that comes through when we're singing together. And that's so important in these times, but as you say, also in any time.
Yeah.
Heidi, I want to thank you so much for talking with me here today. I've really appreciated our conversation. I'll put information about how to contact you and your work in the notes for the show. And I just hope that you keep doing what you're doing. It's making a big difference for a lot of people, I think.
Thank you so much. And I just invite people to keep reaching out, looking for singing in their neck of the woods, looking for singing resistance pods in their area, and stay involved. Thank you so much, Stuart, for welcoming me on the show.
You are not forgotten, you are not alone. We will sing you home. You are not forgotten, you are not alone. We will sing you home.
You've been listening to How Can I Keep From Singing? My name is Stuart Stotts. This is a production of Common Arts, and my guest today was Heidi Wilson.